Hi, we are going to talk about inventory management today. Today we are going to talk about very basics of inventory, and then in a series of lecture we will talk about different inventory models and advanced stages of inventory. Today our discussion would be restricted to three topics. First we will talk about what is inventory. Then there is an inventory strategy matrix, that how the strategy for inventory is made. Strategy is basically the management game plan for future. So how inventory strategy is made, what is the inventory strategics matrix, what are the factors that are going to get affected by your inventory strategy. And then in the end we will be talking about types of inventory. So a firm's inventory strategy is key driver in success and failure of a firm, because inventory is a very capital intensive element, and if you do not plan inventory well, then it may decide the fate of your company. Now effective inventory strategy can give significant competitive advantage. Inventory also plays a very important role in overcoming mismatch in supply and demand. Now, why would inventory be so important? If we consider two examples, one is the retailer and another one is manufacturer, then retailers want to keep inventory on their shelves because they cannot predict when the shopper will show up and what the shopper is going to purchase. So due to this uncertainty, retailers want to keep inventory on their shelves. They have to estimate how much inventory they should keep, because they cannot purchase everything and keep it, because then your capital will be locked up. Manufacturer also want to keep inventory in raw material, work in progress and finished goods, as they cannot time the supply and demand at each stage of supply chain. So inventory is an important factor. Now what is inventory? Inventory is basically an asset. It is classified as an asset in an balance sheet. It is an asset which is intended to be sold in future or used in manufacturing of goods. So basically either the inventory is sold in future or is consumed during the process. So that is what is inventories, and it is classified as an asset. Now inventory can be physical goods, microprocessor, computer, car, bus, bottle of shampoo, any fresh product that you want to sell. Or inventory is classified also on the basis of capacity. Now airline seats, hotel rooms, hospital beds, these are all capacities, and they are also called inventory. So a hotel has an inventory of 200 rooms. That is the capacity that the hotel has. We would be discussing, and we would be keeping our discussion focused on physical inventory part, on the physical goods part. So this is where we are going to talk about. Now inventory is a vital important in delivering value to the customer, because supermarkets want availability of material anytime customer walks through the door, and factories want to keep their production running 24 hours, all 7 days a week and 365 days a year, by having enough raw material to feed. But carrying inventory is very costly. If it would have been so easy that keep lot of inventory in the supermarket, keep lot of inventory in the factory, so that your process is never held up, or your customer does not go without the product because you have a lot of inventory. But keeping inventory is very costly affair, and as the variety increases, it becomes even more difficult to keep inventory. Now carrying inventory is costly because it increases inventory carrying cost. We will be talking about in detail inventory carrying cost and inventory holding cost. We will be talking about this factor in detail when we discuss about inventory models. It ties up your capital. If you purchase something, you commit that much capital to the supplier, then your flexibility in operation goes away. Third, the inventory may become obsolete over a period of time. It so happens in technological companies that what technology that you require today becomes obsolete in a year or two. So there is no point keeping too much of inventory. And then too much of inventory conceals the underlying problem. For example, if you keep too much of inventory and you are producing defects, or there are problems that are cropping in during your production process, they remain hidden. If you plan inventory properly, these days there is a concept of just in time inventory. So if you plan it properly, then the problems become apparent, and then you can solve those problems and make your process more competitive and more uh, and a better process, more efficient process. Now, inventory strategy matrix has three components on three sides of a triangle. One is these components are basically, directly affect these three components. Your inventory strategy affects these three components. One is customer service. Customer service means you have to give right product to the customer at right place and right time. Direct cost would be basically your direct cost in purchasing inventory. You would like to minimize that cost. However, if you want to give better customer service, you might have to keep extra inventory, because you have to supply all the product that the customer wants at the right place and at the right time. Customer may not be willing to wait, so that increases your inventory ordering and carrying cost. So second matrix is direct cost. Third matrix is operational performance. Now, operational performance means that firm want to optimize the operational performance by ensuring operational activities are enhanced. Your product runs, your production plant runs 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year without any disruption due to inventory. For that, that also affects your inventory management strategy. Now, if you make a matrix, then this is how it looks like. The three factors, inventory cost, customer service and operational performance, make three corners of a triangle. Now, if you talk about these three, often they are at odds with each other. If you try to improve on one, the other factor deteriorates. For example, if you want to maximize customer service, then your cost increases, because to ensure better customer service, you might want to supply all the material on time, you might want to fulfill all the need of the customer, and for that you might have to keep more inventory. And if you want to keep more inventory, your ordering cost and your carrying cost would increase. If you want to improve your customer service, you want to keep all the variety of products that to supply to the customer. But if you have too much of variety, then your operational efficiency decreases, because operational efficiency decreases because when you make variety of products, you have to change setup very frequently. When you have to change setup very frequently, your downtime increases, and if your downtime increases, your operational efficiency decreases. So basically, cutting the number of product would increase the operational performance, but it will cause issue with the customer service. So if you decrease the variety, customer service will get affected, but if you increase the variety, your operational performance will get affected. So basically, what is the answer to this? The answer would be depends. It depends on the nature of business that you are in. It depends on the priority that you give to each factor, and then you have to make a trade-off. There is no right answer to this, but then you have to make a trade-off. So if you feel that you are in a business wherein customer services takes priority, then you might be willing to incur more cost, or you might be willing to suffer your operational efficiency get affected adversely. So that is a right trade-off that you have to make, and you have to make a trade-off and make a inventory strategy which is best combination of all the three factors. Now, types of inventory is classified on two bases. One is where it is in the stage in the process. So stage of process is, where it is, where is the inventory lying, where is the inventory currently. So this is one basis for classification of inventory, and based on that, inventory is classified as raw material, work in progress and finished goods. Now we will discuss about these one by one. Raw material is basically, it is at the input stage. It is in the form where it arrives from the supplier as it is. So in raw material, you do not do any value addition. The only thing is that it has been transported from supplier to your premises. Work in progress is basically when you have applied some processing to the raw material, some value addition has been done, but the material has not been converted into a final product or a finished good which can be supplied to the customer. So it is somewhere in between. It is not raw material because value addition has been done. It is not finished good because it is still not ready to be supplied to the customer. So that inventory is called work in progress inventory. Finished good inventory is basically when the value addition process is complete and the material is available for to be sold to the customer or supplied to the finished good store, then it is called finished good. So this is called the where the inventory is lying in the stage, at what stage the inventory is lying in the process. On the basis of that, it is classified into raw material, WIP and finished good. You don't have to be very rigid. For example, you cannot classify a material on the basis of that. For example, a material is a raw material only. It is not like that. It depends where it is in the stage of processing. So if it is a finished good for one company, it may be a raw material for another company. For example, a chip is a finished good because it is a final product of Intel. But if you consider a chip for a company like Dell, then it is a raw material because it is what they receive from the supplier. So the same material can be classified as a finished good or a raw material depending on where it is, on which stage it is in the process. Now there are ancillary inventory categories, and these are also the classification of inventory, and these are reuse inventory, goods for resale, spare parts inventory, maintenance, repair and operations inventory. Now reuse inventory is any item or component recovered for reuse, something which has been used once and is going to be reused. For example, if you're using a coolant or an oil in a machine, now after the process is over, that thing is left to be reused, so that is reuse inventory. So something which has been used once but it is going to be used again is called reused inventory. Reuse inventory. Goods for resale is basically these sellable products which you have supplied to the customer but customer has returned it. The products are not defective product, it's just that they have already been sold once. So when they are available to be resold, then it is called goods for resale. Spare parts inventory is used for repair and replacement. You all know what is spare part. Spare part is a backup part. If some part gets defective or gets worn out, then you repair the machine or equipment by using spare part. Maintenance, repair and operations inventory is basically tools such as your lubricant, and other accessories which are required for the plant maintenance. So these are also called inventories, and they are called ancillary inventories because they are the supportive inventories to the main inventory. Now types of inventory can also be classified on the basis of function or role in the supply chain. Now these are the various ways which managers use inventory to address mismatch between supply and demand to ensure that the operations run smoothly. It is very difficult to assign specific stock of inventory to single functional category. These may be overlapping categories, and these categories are pipeline or in transit inventory, decoupling inventory, buffer inventory, anticipation inventory, and last two inventories are classified on the basis of cost management. They are called cycle stock or lot size inventory or speculation inventory. Now, pipeline and in-transit inventory is basically the stock required for movement of goods within a business or between businesses as product is processed and distributed. For example, pipeline stock results when WIP goods are moved between manufacturing stations or when finished goods are delivered to the customer. So pipeline is when they are in transit, when the inventory moves. So when the inventory is in the phase of supply chain, when the inventory is in transit, that inventory in transit is called pipeline inventory. Pipeline inventory can be at any stage of production, raw material, work in progress or finished good, because whenever the transfer that takes place, it is called pipeline inventory. Decoupling inventory is basically, it serves as a buffer between independent operations. So basically the accumulation of decoupling inventory reduces the need for output to be fully synchronized with the previous machine. So if the previous machine is fast or slow, and if you have decoupling inventory between the two machines, previous and successive machine, then it does not really make a difference. So if the previous machine is slow and the successive machine is fast, if there is a decoupling inventory in between, the process of the successive machine is not going to get affected by the previous machine. So decoupling stock can also reduce order fulfillment lead times if products are held up in semi-finished state and then finished to the customer specification. For example, a sandwich shop may hold the inventory of various types of sliced breads, and when the order comes, they do not bake the bread, they supply the order because that inventory is always already there. I used to work in a technical textile company, so they used to weave a lot of fabric, but then that fabric they can weave without an order, but you cut the fabric to the size of the requirement of the customer when the order comes. So they keep on weaving the product, and whenever order comes, they will cut it to the size of the customer's requirement and send it to. By thereby they reduce the delivery time and then decouple the processes. Now, buffer inventory or safety stock is basically, it gives you cushion against unanticipated fluctuation in supply or demand. So lead times are uncertain, so you keep a certain amount of inventory which is you act as a safety stock, and safety stock is something that you consume when you give an order, a reorder, and by the time material arrive, you have safety stock to be consumed. So safety stock gives you buffer towards the uncertain lead time. So a business may accumulate buffer inventory, often raw material, to avoid shortage and production stoppage in case of delivery delays. Similarly, it may build a goods buffer to protect against occasional spike in demand. So for example, there is it happens in for example, it happens when the demand is uncertain and there might be a certain increase in demand. So you know that your product's demand would be high in next quarter. So in this quarter, you may build up a stock. That would be your safety stock. So in next quarter, you might not have to increase your production. You can use that stock to supply to the market or to the customer. Anticipation inventory, as the word suggests, you anticipate a sudden spike in demand, and based on that anticipated fluctuation, you build up buffers. So that is called anticipation inventory. So it may happen when you anticipate a seasonal fluctuation, or there is a planned promotion. For example, you are going to promote your product, you are going to launch a marketing campaign, you are going to give a lot of discount for your product, maybe in a particular season. So you may build a stock because you know that after that discount your demand would increase. So that is what is called anticipated inventory. Now, functional inventory related to cost management are of two types. One is cycle stock or lot size inventory. Another is speculation inventory. Cycle stock is basically stock produced for more economical production. You basically do the production or give your order in a lot or a size over in a cyclic manner, like every 3 months, every 6 months, or whatever time period you decide. And this basically is done because it becomes more economical for you to order in lots, particular lots, or manufacture in particular lots. So you save money by that. So your cost minimization objective is fulfilled. You also get quantity discounts for large orders, and if you give large orders, then your less frequent large orders, then your carrying cost may increase, but your ordering cost reduces. So that is also a factor. So production in batches also is used to take advantage of savings. So this is a cycle lot or lot size inventory, wherein you order a particular lot size because it is more economical over a period of time or in cycles. Speculation inventory is basically stock accumulated in anticipation of price change. So you anticipate that the price is going to rise, and on that basis of anticipation or speculation, you accumulate inventory. So that is called speculation inventory. It is incremental inventory built up against the risk and input price may increase, and build speculation inventory in response. You get an hunch, or you get an information that your raw material price may increase. So based on that, you build inventory of raw material, and that is called speculation inventory. So that would cover our basics of basics of inventory management, and I'll come back with more topics on inventory management in near future. Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.